Hey everybody, it's Steve Garvin and Bernadette Geyer, and we are here to wrap it all up. So
Yep.
we talked about a lot of things this week, and today is the day when we're going to bring it all together. And what does that mean to you, Bernadette? To,
To me, means really thinking about your maybe one service that you provide. If you provide a lot of services, if you only provide one service, that's fantastic. Then it's a little easier, or maybe not. But to think about your product or your service, think about the target that you are aiming for, your target ideal client for this particular product or service, and then think about the key messages that will resonate with your target market. Um, but in and then when you put something out on social media, say, because I know I think we're talking about having the challenge of creating a social media post that brings all of these elements together. Keeping your target market in mind, think about where they are, which social media platform they're on, and what time are they online. Like, I'm in Germany, and I always have to kind of play this fine line between posting things that are aimed at potential German clients and then posting things that are aimed more globally. I don't want to always be posting everything first thing in the morning, because then I'm missing any potential clients in the US. So, so think about, are you reaching out to busy moms? Are you reaching out to people who have full-time jobs and may not be online? Um, they may not have the luxury of being able to fool around on the internet while they're at work. So those are also things that you have to keep in mind. And to me, it's really kind of like a holistic way of looking at your client, what they need, and how you are reaching out to them.
absolutely, yeah.
How
And
about for you?
same thing. It's like posting on social media. Is a good example. It's like when you pull it all together and you're actually putting it out there for people to see and to read and to hear and to get that where you actually are having a conversation with your audience. And that's one of the things I like to think too, is that it is a conversation. It's not just putting something out there, but
Right.
when I'm thinking of my ideal client, my avatar, my persona, uh, you know what are they doing right now? And time is a good example. I live on the west coast of the United States, and I'm thinking about people around the world, and also just the on the east coast and so forth. And it's always a time conversion, right? So when
Yeah.
I'm talking about morning, not necessarily morning, where they are, and
Yeah.
how do you have something that is relevant to what they're going through in this moment, that is on topic and in brand with your message. And it's pulling all that stuff together.
I think you probably also have, with visuals, you have the added thing that you need to worry about is how are people accessing your stuff?
Hmm.
If they are, scrolling through Facebook on their mobile phone, when you're creating images, you can't create images that have really tiny text, or they'll just scroll right past it and not be able to read it.
Right.
So you also have to take that kind of stuff into consideration.
Absolutely. And it's also different, like Instagram and Facebook. You can use the same image on both places generally, but the 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 caption, the text that I put with it will oftentimes be different. For one thing, in Instagram, you're literally scrolling through and, seeing the images, and you may or may not, read all the post, because you're looking for what captures your eye. And you're doing that to some extent too on Facebook, but people are used to reading, the text and more frequently. And so there's kind of it's a different environment, and I was listening to a podcast this morning about how you use visuals on YouTube, in that, if you just have the same image that and it doesn't like change. I mean, you're just doing a recording like we're doing right now, without like moving in and the camera in and out and so forth, that it doesn't create as much visual interest as it could otherwise have.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the challenge that people deal with, is, how do you create enough interest, through your words, through your images, through, the message you're putting out there, so that people are interested and want to continue to engage with you. Because it's really...
That's another very good point, is when you're posting something online and you're trying to get people to engage with your brand, you also have to keep in mind that there has to be a reason for your post.
Mm-hmm.
You are either entertaining them, you're informing them. You could probably think of some other reasons for posts. I mean, typically I post to entertain or inform.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason, you're never just kind of posting something to put it out there. There should be a reason, and that reason will be the call to action.
Mm-hmm.
The holidays are coming up. So if people are selling products through their business, you think about when you're posting, you have to have that call to action saying, there are 92 days until Christmas, or now it's like, I don't know, 50, maybe even less. I don't know. I don't keep track of that stuff, but
not many. That's wow.
There has to be a call to action if you want to create engagement.
Right. Yeah, and that can be, even if you're just entertaining someone with, an interesting image, or, an idea or whatever, there's still a call to action in that, think about something differently, or, how can, what are you doing? If you're, a lot of food bloggers will talk about, well, how did you use this? Or, when you tried it, how did you like it? Or, that type of thing. And it's, there's always that engagement. So it's never just a static image. It's not just a static post, that once you post it, it's done, but it's a continual conversation. It's a relationship that you're developing. And
exactly.
That's really what you're trying to do with branding in general, is, create a relationship, so that, it's not just a one and done. It's a long-term relationship that endures.
And if you're creating something that you think might end up being a repeated meme or something, like I do something called Jargon Slayer. Mm-hmm. And I post a term that everybody talks about, but people who are just starting out in social media marketing might not understand what everybody's talking about when they hear the term geolocation. So I create these like Jargon Slayer graphics, but if you have something in mind that you might do for your business that's going to be part of a series, you want to think of a template that'll be the standard way that you present that all the time, so that whenever somebody sees that blue background with the white quotation marks on either side and the little orange thing in the corner that says Jargon Slayer, they automatically know, oh, that's Geyer Editorial. Or, you have your specific format that you use for your posts as well.
Right. Yeah. And again, it's about, being memorable and, recognizable, so that
Mhm.
people, when they see it, it it automatically triggers in their mind an association with what you put out there already and what your
Yeah.
branding is. Uh, and I do have a template that I use generally, almost exclusively, that has certain elements to it. It changes, the content will change,
Right. Exactly.
but the way that it's laid out is pretty consistent, intentionally so.
Yeah.
Uh, and that actually gives me some freedom. I mean, not only is it a time saver, but also I've found that establishing limitations can actually give us freedom to be able to explore and to try different things within that construct. And
Yeah.
so, yesterday when we were talking about key messages, we talked about, snap, crackle, pop being around for decades, but it's been used in different contexts over time. And the
Yeah.
same thing with, all of your messaging is that it evolves and changes and it grows. Uh,
And you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you sit down and stare at, you know, the blank page. It's, you think to yourself, okay, well, I'm doing another meme, quote Tuesday or whatever. You have a template. You're not reinventing the wheel on the template every time sitting down. Oh, well, how should it look this time?
mm,
Um, so it frees up your time to think about, well, what am I going to say here? What's my
mhm,
quote going to be? And if you already have a specific phrase that you know that you're going to insert as your key message, well, then that's a few, that's 10 fewer words that you have to come up with on your own. So it really does kind of save you time and save you your brain power for other things.
yeah. And, it's again recognizable, and, it's easy to recall, and so forth.
Yes.
You know, I think it's key also to, we haven't really talked about that this much this week, but one of the things that I'm a firm believer in is, have fun with it.
Oh yeah.
Believe where your personality is going to come out
Yeah.
is, when you're doing stuff that, that feels good and it's fun. Because
Yeah.
as marketers, and as business owners, we're all marketers. Um, it's um, you encourage you to make sure that you're having fun doing what you're doing.
Yeah. If it's not fun for you, it's not going to be fun for your customers.
Right, exactly. So, uh, you know, create those fun experiences. So, uh,
So what should we challenge them today?
well, the challenge today is to take everything you've learned this week and to uh, create a post that integrates it all, and put it out there in Facebook, and put it in the comments below
Yeah.
the idea that you're sharing, so we can see how this has come together for you, and
Yeah,
also.
it can be an Instagram or uh, idea for a Facebook post or an idea for a blog post. Or if you create a graphic, if you're not good at creating graphics on your own, the way Steve is good at, he's got all the professional stuff. Um, I just use Canva,
Mhm.
um, and that's nice and simple, drag and drop for me. Um, but if you have questions about that, go ahead and put your questions in there. Maybe we can point you in some directions.
Absolutely, yeah. And honestly, I'm going to have some, not immediately, but I'll have some uh, material out there, and I'm actually starting to put some things out on YouTube on how to do some of the things that I do.
Oh, great.
um, that'll be available too, and it's right now it's not a whole lot, but there's some that I'm starting to put together, because I live in this world. I create images, every day, and but not everybody does. So, and it really isn't. a lot of it isn't as hard as you know as you might think, um, and it's fun. A lot of people like to use Canva and to take their camera out and and do some cool stuff, and it's a great opportunity to try out some new things. So I
Oh,
encourage that.
I do have a tip for people who might want to take their own photos the way you do.
Okay.
If you take a photo that you think you might use eventually for either like an Instagram or to go along with a quote,
Hmm.
make sure you frame it so that maybe if you're taking a picture of a lighthouse, the lighthouse is not directly in the middle.
Hmm.
The lighthouse is off to the side so that you
Right.
can put your quotation right next to the lighthouse,
Right.
and have that space. And you might take some landscape, some portrait, and play around with the positioning of your of the subject of your photo so that there is enough kind of empty space that you can put your quote in.
Another advantage reason to do that too is your eye will autom. There's a principle called the rule of thirds.
Yes.
So if you take any image, photograph, and you can, go back to Leonardo da Vinci in The Last Supper, and Van Gogh's Starry Night, and so forth. Each one of those will not. It doesn't always happen, but it very frequently happens that if you divide the image, whether you're taking a photograph or drawing or creating a Canva or whatever, that if you take the image and you put two horizontal vertical lines and horizontal lines, that the point of greatest interest will actually be where those things intersect. So my thermostat right here is going to be great. But
I think that cameras on mobile phones, I think that there is like a setting where you can have it show the
Mhm.
grids.
And
So,
oftentimes my DSLR does that too. So
oh,
you
okay.
you can set it up to have those grids, and just you notice where the intersections are. That's actually why you've got that. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff that can go along with that, but that's generally the idea is put things not in the center, because that actually makes it uh, not as interesting. Um, Although there are always opportunities to break the rules and to create some really cool stuff. But
True.
first of all, you got to know the rules in order to know how to break the rules. But
That's
anyway,
right.
pay attention to the rule of thirds. So those points where your eye naturally is going to be attracted, and it will help create a much better image. So yeah. So added tip for this week. You guys weren't expecting to get a.
Bonus, bonus. Well, I look forward to seeing what people come up with for this final challenge.
Yeah.
And I guess if people have additional questions, they can pop them
Yeah.
also in the comments. We'll be happy to respond.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, is there a place that people can get in touch with you, Bernadette, if they want to take the conversation further?
Certainly, they can visit me on my website at Geyer Editorial, GeyerEditorial.com. They can connect with me there, or they can find me on Facebook. I can pop a link.
Yeah.
I'll pop a couple links in the comments
And I'll do
where
the same
people
thing,
can
because
connect.
I know both Bernadette and I are on Instagram. Bernadette actually has got a great eye. You'll see some fun images from around Germany and other places. So
Thank you.
it's
There's always something interesting to see in Berlin.
I'm sure. Yeah. Same here in Tacoma. So
And I assume people can connect with you through the group.
absolutely, through the group and on my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/mindfully creative. So those are two places you can get a hold of me. Um, as well as, and my Instagram handle actually is also mindfully creative. So, and then I'll put a link down to that below. So anyway, I hope you all had fun. Hope this was really helpful, and your branding is now rocking it. And
Yeah.
if you need a little bit of help, don't hesitate to reach out to Bernadette or to myself, and we'd love to take you a little bit further. So have
Super,
fun.
everyone. And thanks, Steve, for inviting me to co-lead this with you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been fun and educational. I love the kind of how we bring complementary strengths to the equation.
It's the peanut butter and the chocolate.
There you go. Right on. My favorite candy bar.
Excellent.
All right. Okay. Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.